I'll always remember that day, so different from the calm, predictable days I'd grown accustomed to. Everything shifted in a heartbeat. That morning, I rose, as I always did, brewed a cup of coffee, and stood by the window, gazing at the world outside. I was 59, yet a part of me clung to youth, refusing to embrace the truth of aging. I'd taken care of myself, exercised regularly, and each time I glanced in the mirror, I sought the reflection of someone still vibrant, still alluring. But there was an emptiness within me, a void nothing could fill. Anthony, that was the delivery boy's name. Every time I saw him, a peculiar feeling stirred, a warmth, a strange, undeniable pull. He was 23, perhaps, and it might have been his youthful vigor that captivated me. For months, I'd been ordering things online relentlessly. Books, home decor, even utterly unnecessary items, just to hear the doorbell and find him standing there. I told myself these feelings were wrong, yet my heart raced every time. That day, as I headed inside and noticed Anthony delivering packages around the neighborhood, he zoomed past on his motorbike. Suddenly, his tire skidded, and he crashed right in front of me. "Anthony!" I cried, my heart pounding, as I dropped my bag and rushed to him. His knee and elbow were badly scraped, pain etched across his face, but he still managed a warm smile. "Judith, I'm fine. It's not serious," he said, his voice quivering slightly. "Don't be ridiculous," I replied firmly. "Don't tell me you're fine. Come inside. Let me take a look." I helped him move his bike to the curb and supported him as we walked to my house. He hesitated at first, but my insistence left him no choice. Once inside, I led him to the living room couch. I fetched my first aid kit and began cleaning his wounds. My hands trembled, but I tried to steady them so Anthony wouldn't notice. As I worked, I couldn't ignore how youthful and vibrant he looked up close, yet there was a maturity in his expression that surprised me. "I'm sorry for troubling you, Judith," he said, smiling. "Really, it's no big deal." "Troubling me?" I scoffed, trying to sound stern but unable to hide my smile. "You fall, hurt yourself, and think I'll just leave you. Get a grip, Anthony." While bandaging his wounds, I noticed he'd grown quiet, his eyes fixed on me. The air between us thickened. As I placed a bandage on his arm, our hands brushed briefly. That fleeting touch deepened the silence. "Judy," he began softly, his voice tentative. "I didn't expect you to be so kind. Most people just want their packages dropped off and me gone." I looked at him, and something inside me shifted. "Anthony, you're not just some delivery guy. I see how you look at people, how thoughtful you are. Honestly, being around you makes me feel alive in a way I haven't in years," I admitted, my voice trembling, cheeks flushing. There was no taking those words back. Anthony's expression changed, determination mixed with something magnetic. Slowly he leaned closer, his gaze unwavering. Before this tale unfolds further, please subscribe to my channel and enable notifications to catch what happens next. Your support through comments and likes means everything. At that moment, Anthony's eyes locked with mine, the air electric. This was merely the start. "You know," he said after a pause, "the place I'm staying at is so far from work. Commuting daily is exhausting. I've been thinking about moving closer, but the prices are steep." His words stirred something in my chest. I realized I could help, and the thought sparked an odd excitement. "Anthony," I said softly but firmly. I have a small apartment next to my house. It's not rented yet. If you want, you can move in for a reasonable price. It'll make things easier. Anthony looked surprised. Really, Judith? You don't have to be this kind, he said, disbelief in his voice. But I'd made up my mind. I knew everything was about to change. And it did. That day marked the first step in shattering the monotony of my life. The story was just beginning. As I tended to his wounds, I held his arm, my hand lingering on his skin longer than needed. For a moment, my eyes traced his broad shoulders and strong arms. I noticed him watching me too, his gaze carefully roaming over my legs, waist and shoulders. The fluttering inside me intensified, no matter how I tried to suppress it. I was losing myself. My hands shook as I finished bandaging, and when I bent to pick up a fallen bandage, Anthony did the same. Our hands touched again, and we froze. The electricity from that contact made the silence heavier. As I straightened, our eyes locked once more. I tried to read his face. Hesitation, but also an undeniable pull, an attraction. Judith, he said, his voice softer than ever. I have to say, I didn't expect you to be this kind. Most people just want their packages and me gone. They wouldn't go out of their way for someone like me. Honestly, I don't think I deserved this care. Those words made me lose myself briefly. Looking at him, I saw depth, maturity in this young man. I forced a small laugh. Anthony, if you ever want, you can move into the apartment. It's like I've been waiting for you to take it all along, I said, easing the tension slightly. Anthony looked even more surprised. Really, Judith? Honestly, I need to move fast. My landlord's trying to evict me, and I still have deliveries to finish, he said. His voice rushed. He stood to leave, but paused to take my number. The next morning I saw Anthony arrive in a large truck with 2 friends, moving his belongings into the apartment. From my window, I watched him carry heavy boxes, his strong, muscular arms impossible to ignore. Something stirred in me, a feeling I hadn't known in years. His youthful energy, his vibrancy, mesmerized me. After a while, I composed myself, poured coffee into a thermos, and approached them. You all must be exhausted, I said, smiling. I'd love to invite you for dinner. Let's sit and enjoy a meal together. Anthony and his friends thanked me, but Anthony said, Judith, that's so kind, but my friends need to head back. It's a long way home. I hid a pang of disappointment. That evening, Anthony arrived alone. Seeing him there, I felt surprise and excitement. I greeted him with a smile. Where are your friends? He shrugged, flashing a grin. They had to leave. They couldn't stay, but I didn't want to leave you alone tonight, he said. His words sent warmth through me. Over dinner, our conversation deepened, and I realized this was the start of something new. To be honest, I said, smiling, looking into Anthony's eyes, I expected all of you, but since it's just you, I suppose there's no harm in opening a bottle of wine. I always enjoy wine with dinner. Anthony smiled, his eyes fixed on mine. That sounds perfect. Wine and your cooking. What more could I ask for? His words ignited a spark in me. I fetched a bottle of red wine and 2 glasses, trying not to notice Anthony's eyes studying me, as if deciphering me. Over dinner, with the wine's help, our talk grew personal. Loneliness, I said, sipping wine. Sometimes it's unbearable. It can drive you mad. I feel I've spent my life living for others, and now I see how much time I've wasted. Anthony listened, his expression soft, understanding. Loneliness is tough at any age. But you, Judith, your home, your cooking, the way you dress, everything about you shows such care. You've kept yourself so beautiful. It feels unfair that someone like you lives alone. His words warmed me deeply. I couldn't recall the last time anyone spoke to me like that. My heart raced as I met his gaze, feeling a connection I hadn't known in years. Those words surprised and moved me. My heart quickened. I understand what you mean, I said softly. But sometimes, no matter how hard you try, no one notices. Anthony set his glass down and leaned toward me. I felt the intensity of his gaze. You're wrong, he said, his voice low, resolute. It's impossible not to notice you. His words stirred me, and with the wine's warmth, my heart and mind clashed. His eyes stayed on me, and the way this young man looked at me with such focus ignited a thrill I hadn't felt in ages. Anthony, you're very kind, I said, smiling. Though my voice trembled, I clasped my hands in my lap, but couldn't look away from his eyes. The space between us felt smaller than it was. I need to be honest, he said suddenly, his voice deeper. When I came here, I just wanted a fresh start. But the more I've talked to you, the more I've wanted to know you better. There's something different about you, Judith. It's like you carry a light, something alive. His words stunned me. The wine, the atmosphere, his gaze, it overwhelmed me. I took a deep breath, but my heart pounded uncontrollably. Anthony, I said, locking eyes with him. You've made this night so special. No one's made me feel this way in a long time. The tension peaked. When Anthony's eyes met mine, the world seemed to stop. Caught in the moment's magic, I leaned toward him. When our lips met, my heart felt ready to burst. His kiss awakened feelings I'd suppressed for years, but reality crashed over me. I pulled away, face flushed, thoughts chaotic. This isn't right, I murmured, avoiding his gaze, stumbling toward the kitchen to escape the storm inside me. I didn't realize Anthony had followed until I felt his hands on my waist. His warmth, his closeness, stopped me. Judith, he said low but firm, turning me to face him. His eyes locked with mine before he kissed me again. Deeper, more intense. I couldn't breathe. There was no escaping this. My hands reached for his shoulders as his strong arms held me tightly. I felt we were the only two people in the world. Anthony broke the kiss, looking into my eyes. Judith, do you really want this? He whispered, his voice warm and determined, unraveling me. I nodded, my voice barely a whisper. Yes. As his hand moved gently along my back, he guided me upstairs to the bedroom. My heart pounded with every step, anticipation growing. Inside the room, I sat on the bed's edge. Anthony stood before me, pausing, his eyes roaming over me. I felt the heat of his gaze. I raised my hands to my shoulders, slowly sliding my dress's straps down. The fabric glided off, pooling at my feet. The admiration and desire in Anthony's eyes fueled my pull toward him. This moment was unlike anything I'd dared imagine in years. All that remained was to surrender to the night. Before lying down, I caught my reflection in the mirror, mature, alluring. Anthony gently guided me to lie on the bed, hovering above me. His eyes locked on mine. His hands rested on my waist, moving slowly. I felt something I deeply missed. I let out a sound that surprised me. unsure where to place my hands, overwhelmed by the beauty of it all. I'd missed this so much. The emotions surging through me were intense. I closed my eyes, losing myself in the moment. When I opened them, Anthony was flushed, breathless, exciting me more. I whispered, begging for it to happen again. Catching his breath, Anthony replied, "I want it more than you do." That day, he made me happier than I'd been in years. He lay beside me, breaths steadying. I glanced at the scattered clothes on the floor and smiled. I'd missed this. Anthony's warm breath brushed my neck as we lay side by side. The silence was filled only by our breathing. After everything, a peaceful stillness lingered, yet excitement still pulsed within me. I turned to him. "Judith," Anthony said, meeting my eyes, "I want to get away with you to a beach town, just you and me. What do you think?" His suggestion sent a thrill through me. "A vacation? That sounds amazing," I replied, smiling. "But I'm sure this won't be any ordinary trip," I added, watching the sparkle in his eyes. Anthony chuckled, brushing my hair back. "No, Judith. This is just the beginning." In that moment, we both knew this vacation wouldn't just be an escape. It would be the start of something new, strengthening our bond. This story doesn't end here. What happens on that vacation and beyond is yet to come. Stay tuned. If you've read this far, I know my story has touched you. There's more to share, and you won't want to miss it. Don't forget to follow, enable notifications, and comment on what you think of this story. Throughout my life, others have always remarked on my beauty, yet I never sought to leverage it for personal gain. In my youth, I aspired to be a model, but that ambition faded when Marco entered my life. "We don't need the money, so I don't want you to pursue it," he declared. And at the time, his choice became mine. Now, at 42, I reside in the home of the man who altered my life's trajectory, sharing it with his son from his first marriage, Nico, who is 23. Nico recently graduated from university, where he studied photography and visual arts, and has returned to live with us. His space occupies the top floor of our duplex, a creative haven where he sketches portraits of women, men, and anyone who captures his interest. Young women frequently visit, posing for his artwork. Initially, I believed this was purely his artistic passion, but everything shifted the day I inadvertently left his door slightly ajar. How could I have foreseen that an innocent portrait sketch would unravel into all this? I'm about to share how one night with Nico evolved into something far beyond merely assisting him. I know you'll judge me, but I can no longer keep this secret. That morning, Marco had already left the house. I ascended the stairs, and Nico's door was slightly open. I hadn't intended to enter, but as I passed, my eyes caught a glimpse of a canvas inside. What I saw halted me in my tracks. It was a portrait of me. Even more startling was the large photograph pinned to the wall beside it, a picture I'd shared on social media years ago. Every line of my face, the depth in my eyes, even the emotions I felt at that moment were vividly captured in his painting. I hadn't realized Nico had observed me so intently. Seeing that he had downloaded and printed my photo to create this portrait should have alarmed me, but it didn't. For a moment, I stood frozen in the doorway, my heart pounding, as a wave of excitement and an unnameable feeling surged through me. The version of me in that painting was different, stronger, more captivating. Nico had portrayed me as more than I believed myself to be. My hands trembled as I gripped the doorframe. I couldn't linger any longer. Silently, I turned and descended the stairs, my footsteps guiding me to the kitchen. But my heart still raced. The image of that painting lingered in my mind. I thought it was merely another piece of art, but I was mistaken. I couldn't have imagined that moment would become something tangible. Don't forget to subscribe and enable notifications for more stories like this. I know once you hear this tale to its conclusion, you'll be compelled to leave a comment. Since Nico returned home, an indescribable energy has existed between us. At first, everything felt normal, even warm. But over time, I noticed Nico retreating, spending hours secluded upstairs, immersed in his work. His door was typically closed, but the other day, it was unintentionally left ajar for a fleeting moment. A moment that seared itself into my memory. He had painted me, bringing a photo from my social media to life on his canvas. Each brushstroke seemed to unveil a part of me, as if he wasn't merely depicting my face, but my very soul. When I saw that painting, something within me stirred. Yet I couldn't bring myself to confront Nico about it. The next day, loud voices from upstairs drew my attention. A girl was shouting, her voice sharp with anger. Before I could process it, Nico's door flung open, and she stormed out, her face flushed with fury, tears streaming down her cheeks as she rushed past me in the hallway. My heart raced. Should I go upstairs? I wavered, torn between staying uninvolved and needing to understand what had happened. Ultimately, I couldn't resist. I found myself at Nico's door and knocked softly. "Nico," I said, my voice tentative. A sigh came from within. "Come in," he replied, his tone weary and vulnerable. I eased the door open and stepped inside. He stood in the center of the room, gazing at an unfinished canvas. The colors and details were impeccable, yet the piece felt incomplete. "What's going on?" I asked, unable to mask the concern in my voice. Nico lowered his head, then slowly turned to face me, a look of helplessness in his eyes. "That portrait," he said, his voice tinged with defeat. "I had a deal for it, a major project. The client wanted a portrait of a graceful, strong, beautiful woman. They offered substantial money, but it's not just about that, Judith. This is my reputation. This project could open doors for my career. But when I was working on that girl's portrait, I realized it wouldn't work. He wouldn't have liked it. I would have let him down." His voice trembled. "And now I need to deliver something new by tomorrow. It's critical." As I absorbed his words, my heart began to race. His eyes locked onto mine, conveying a silent plea. In that moment, I recalled the painting I'd seen the previous day, and the way Nico was looking at me now. "Nico, what are you asking of me?" I said, my voice quivering. He swallowed hard, then took a deep breath. "Judith, I want to paint you. You're the one who's truly strong, graceful, and beautiful." I froze, uncertain how to respond. "But is that even right?" I whispered, my voice barely audible. Nico stepped closer, his eyes brimming with determination and admiration. "Judith, you might not see it, but it's you. Your beauty, your elegance, your strength. It's all in you, and I need you to help me finish this. I don't have time, and I need you. If you agree, we can do this discreetly, together." A part of me screamed to refuse immediately, but another part was drawn to Nico's words. The warmth in his gaze, the sincerity in his voice. I couldn't stop thinking about that painting and how it made me feel. The way he saw me. "Nico, are you sure?" I asked. meeting his eyes. "I've never been more certain," he said, his voice low but resolute. "This isn't just a painting, Judith. This will change everything." There was a pause. My heart pounded as I questioned whether this was right. Then my eyes caught the outfit Nico held, a black silk dress that hugged the body, leaving the shoulders bare and draping elegantly to reveal just a hint of leg. "This is a bit much," I said with a nervous laugh. Nico stepped closer, his eyes warm and steady. "It'll look perfect on you. I just want to see you at your best. Trust me, Judith." I took a deep breath, my hesitation slowly dissolving under Nico's heartfelt compliments. I nodded slightly. "All right, let's do it." Nico smiled, a warm, genuine smile that eased every fear in my heart. In that moment, we began preparing for the night ahead. But deep down, I knew this wouldn't be just about a painting. Tonight was going to change everything for both of us. The room was bathed in a soft, warm glow, with candles flickering in every corner, creating a cozy ambiance. Soft music played in the background, enhancing the inviting atmosphere. Nico stood in the corner holding a bottle of wine. He raised his glass towards me. "Welcome," he said, his voice calm but warm. "This place," I said, scanning the setup. "It's so well thought out." "Tonight is special," he replied with a faint smile. "Everything needs to be perfect for you." I swallowed hard, but a small smile crept onto my lips. In that moment, instead of questioning my actions, I chose to embrace the experience. Nico gestured toward a corner of the room. "I set up a space for you to get ready. Your dress is over there." I nodded and walked to the corner. Out of the corner of my eye, I noticed Nico had turned his back, a small gesture that eased my nervousness. I picked up the dress and slipped it on, glancing at myself in the mirror. The black silk hugged my body perfectly, my shoulders bare, the neckline framing my collarbone beautifully. "Nico, I'm ready," I said, my voice barely a whisper. He turned and his eyes locked onto me, filled with admiration. Not just an artist's for his subject, but a man's for a woman. "Perfect," he said slowly, raising his glass again. "Can you sit in that chair?" I approached the elegant, antique-looking chair he indicated, its charm matching the room's atmosphere. As I sat, a mix of excitement and nervousness coursed through me. Nico poured a glass of wine and handed it to me. "You need to relax tonight. The wine will help." I took a sip, our eyes meeting again. "I shouldn't drink too much, or I might relax too much," I said with a soft smile. Nico laughed as he pulled his chair to his easel. "You deserve this tonight. It's all about you, seeing you, feeling your presence. It's going to complete this painting." For a while, silence enveloped the room, the intensity in the air palpable. Nico's eyes shifted between me and the canvas, his brush moving in deliberate strokes. I knew I should look away, but I couldn't. I took another sip of wine and glanced at him. "Isn't it hard to work like this?" I asked, my voice a blend of nervousness and warmth. "Hard," he said with a small laugh. "Quite the opposite. This moment feels like the most real thing I've ever done." He paused, lowering his brush and looking directly into my eyes. "Judith, do you realize it's not just beauty? I've never seen someone so graceful and strong at the same time." His words left me stunned. "Nico, you're overdoing it," I said. But even as the words left my mouth, I felt their impact. "I'm not exaggerating," he said, his eyes unwavering. "I'm just lucky to share this moment with someone like you." Drawing you isn't just work. It's a way of understanding you. In that moment, the tension in the room became almost tangible. He resumed painting, but his movement slowed, his eyes frequently drifting from the canvas to me. "The night's just getting started," he said with a faint smile. "When this painting is finished, nothing will be the same." I took another sip of wine, suddenly grasping his meaning. This night wasn't just about a portrait. It was going to transform us. As I sat in the chair, I lost track of time. Nico worked at the canvas, each brushstroke feeling like a piece of his soul. Occasionally, he'd pause, glance at me, and in his eyes, I saw more than an artist's admiration. It was a man's. With the wine in my hand, I relaxed more with each sip. Every 30 minutes or so, Nico took a break. During the first, we exchanged few words, his eyes studying me, but a boundary remained. By the second break, that boundary began to blur. Whether from the wine or the tension between us, I couldn't tell. When he came closer and gently took my hand, I froze. "Judith, you look stunning," he said, his voice warm and soft. I stayed still, letting the sensation of his fingers on mine sink in. During the third break, the line between us nearly vanished. Nico reached out, gently tucking a strand of hair that had fallen over my shoulder back into place. My breath caught. "Judith," he said, his eyes locking onto mine. "This painting won't do your beauty justice, but I'll try." That touch and those words drew us closer, yet we somehow stayed just on the edge of crossing that boundary. By the end of the night, 3 hours had passed. Nico took one final stroke with his brush, leaned back, and set it down with a deep breath. "It's done," he said, his eyes bright with excitement. "Are you ready?" I stood, finishing the last sip of wine. I was slightly tipsy, but my mind was clear. I walked to him, my heart racing. When I saw the painting, my breath hitched. "This," I said, unable to look away. "This is incredible, Nico." The woman in the painting was me. But Nico hadn't just captured my physical form. He'd captured something deeper. The emotions in my eyes, the grace in my posture, the strength I hadn't known I possessed. It was all there on the canvas. Nico turned to me. "You're incredible, Judith. This isn't just a painting of you. It's you. Your beauty, your strength, everything." In that moment, I couldn't control my emotions. I stepped toward him, wrapping my arms around his neck. "Thank you," I whispered, my voice trembling. At first, the hug was innocent. But when Nico's arms encircled my waist and he leaned closer, something inside me shifted. It was as if every boundary had dissolved. Our breaths intertwined, the flickering candlelight making everything feel surreal. "Nico," I began, but the words faded. I realized his lips were a breath away from mine, and it felt like there was no turning back. "Judith," he said, stepping closer. His eyes locked onto mine, his voice deep with emotion. "I need to tell you something. I can't keep it inside any longer." He paused, taking a deep breath. "I like you, but it's not just a simple crush. I've felt this way about you for a long time, and I've tried to hide it. But I can't." His words flooded the room, washing over me like a wave of heat. My heart accelerated, my mind reeling. "Nico, this," I whispered. But in that moment, I realized I was drawn to him too, and I could no longer deny it. Nico stepped closer, our faces only a breath apart, his hands gently resting on my waist. "Ever since I saw you for the first time, I've seen you like this, Judith. You have to understand that." As he finished, he leaned down, and his lips softly met mine. My breath caught. The warmth of his lips, combined with the touch of his hands, melted every boundary between us. When the kiss ended, he looked into my eyes, but that look wasn't a question. It was an answer. There was no going back. My hands reached for the straps of my dress, slowly sliding them off my shoulders. The silk fabric slipped down my body, pooling at my feet. The candlelight cast a glow over my bare skin, and I saw the admiration in Nico's eyes deepen. No words were needed. His hands gently wrapped around my waist, pulling me toward the large couch. That night, everything changed. The bond between us, the closeness, it was undeniable. I leaned back onto the couch, my heart pounding, my breath uneven. Nico looked into my eyes and gave me a soft smile. He removed his clothes, tossing them beside my dress. Every barrier between us had vanished. He leaned over me, his hands gently resting on my waist. When his lips planted a warm kiss on my neck, a shiver ran through my entire body, not just from his touch, but from something profound stirring within me, something I hadn't felt in years. His lips moved from my neck to my shoulder, and an intensity I'd never experienced surged within me. Almost instinctively, my hands found his back, feeling the tension in his muscles, the heat radiating from his body. Nico's breath left a mark on my skin, and with every touch, he pulled me closer. "Judith," he whispered, his voice low and filled with emotion. "You're even more beautiful than I ever imagined." With that, everything accelerated. I could feel the sincerity in his words, but his firm movements shifted me from emotions to a raw, uncontrollable excitement. His lips met mine again, this time more passionately, more deeply. My hands found their way into his hair as the intensity drowned out every thought. With my other hand, I gripped the couch cover tightly, struggling to stay quiet. I tried to open my eyes, but my body had taken over. My muscles tensed, and with every touch, waves of energy coursed through me. Nico's kisses trailed lower, moving down my neck, his hands gliding over my skin, leaving a trail of warmth. I gave myself to him completely, my thoughts consumed by the moment. He was over me, his eyes filled with surprise and intense desire. His breathing quickened, a tremble in his voice. "Is this a dream, Judith?" he whispered. I tried to open my eyes, but my body had taken over. My gaze fixed on the ceiling as my hands gripped the blanket tighter. Nico leaned closer, his lips brushing my ear. "Judith, you're the one making me feel this way. I never imagined you like this. But you're more real than anything else." He didn't stop. I was trembling so much, I thought I'd lose myself completely. And finally, Nico let himself go too. This wasn't a dream. It was a reality I'd unknowingly been waiting for years. Let me just say, our story doesn't end here. Stay tuned. If you've made it this far, I know my story has deeply moved you. There's so much more to share, and you won't want to miss a single thing. Make sure to hit that follow button, turn on notifications, and leave a comment about this story.